go. Okay, and here we are with the day after podcast. Player rankings 103 to 50.
How's it going, everyone? So this is like part of our, Brantsteele Series 1 celebration. And basically what Joe did, and first off, let's everyone give a like for Joe. He's the one that organized all of this. He made this beautiful flash or a slideshow, and Ryan just comes up here and looks pretty.
It's like that classic 8th grade, you got a group project with someone does all the work, the other person still gets the name on it,
which is exactly the opposite experience for me, because I'm like a little bit of a control freak when it comes to certain like group projects. I'm like, good. But
yeah, I'm actually the opposite. I'm usually where you'd be right now.
But so everyone give Joe big props for this.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've been working on this now for honestly like the last couple of weeks, trying to get all the different numbers and statistics and everything. Yeah, so let me show you how we're breaking it down a little bit. So each season, each survivor player gets points depending on how well they do. When you move the screen there. So like for instance, first boots will only get +1 for being on the season because they just went to they get credit for being on the season basically.
Yeah.
Whereas for instance, a second place will get +19, just barely, and that's assuming of like a typical 20% season. And also, if they win the season, the winner gets an extra 5 points. So if it was a 20-person season, you would get the 20 points plus the 5. So you would get 25 points for the season.
Which is solid.
And quitters get 0 points for that season and an additional -5.
Which is funny because when I was looking through it, I was like, wait, what? For 1 second, but then I realized, like, oh yeah, you put in a penalty. I mean, it only affects one player, but
but like I feel like, because I'm very strict on terms of like quitters and Survivor, I feel like I had to still be strict on quitters here.
I totally understand.
And it sucks because I really like the person who ended up quitting. And
me too. I just finished her season,
Island of Idols.
Yeah, earlier this week. And I'm watching Winners at War. Tyson just got voted off, and I'm still lamenting.
Yeah.
Even though I knew it was happening, and it happened already. That's.
So yeah, that's the rubric for it. If there's anything else that I didn't put in here, I'll bring it up when it comes, I guess. Okay, are you ready to start with our worst Brantsteele Survivor player?
Oh yes.
It's Courtney Yates.
It hurts so bad to see her go first, not once but twice, and I like her as a character. I think she brings so much sass and stuff to like regular Survivor, and so disappointing to see her go like super early. Like, why?
Yeah, both times she gets the Francesca of our season. It's weird because Francesca is like in the legacy of like the greatest players that are Brantsteele.
Yeah.
Whereas Courtney is the Francesca. Kind of interesting how that worked out.
It's a shame, but life and randomizers are always funny that way.
Yeah, I mean, my only guess is that, they're doing the typical, she's the small girl who's not going to help with challenges, so why keep her around for the pre-merge?
Because she's fun to be around.
Is she, though?
Yes! She's like the friend that, she's like your bad friend that you keep around because that helps you realize, oh, I'm not that bad of a person. I have this person. And, they're sassy, and that sass can be fun to be around.
Maybe. I just, it's a shame that Courtney gets the lowest possible score we could have had on Brantsteele. I thought that she played 3 times and lost. We got first boot 3 times, but apparently she didn't.
Going through this list, I was actually amazed when some people came on, where I was like, wait, we didn't have this person until then, and that. I guess because we talk about so many different Survivor players so often that it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, we'll bring up people in a early Brantsteele Survivor even, and not actually have that person on until like season 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is our lowest ranking person. Our next lowest ranking person is Wu Wong, who kind of honestly gets on this list because he barely makes any points in Hunger Games. Oh yeah, I guess here's where I should bring up the Hunger Games. I only included you on being on that season if you're in the top 20. Because if I included everyone else and did it how I was doing the ranking system, Nora would be like number 5 in the best players.
Which no.
Yeah. Yeah. So Wu kind of gets a little screwed because he gets 20th, making him a first, like getting the first boot points while also not doing good in Heroes vs. Villains. So it kind of makes him get dragged through the mud on this.
This is which hurts my soul because I love Wu. He's a fun person, and when I brought him for Heroes vs. Villains, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna do well, but no.
His best season was Hunger Games, in a sense, because at least that there was 48 people. He makes it somewhat far in that.
Yeah, in the upper half, but alas, wasn't enough.
Yeah. So that is our number 102. Next up, we have a tie for number 100 for the 100th spots, and we got Phil Wood. We got a picture here with him and Nora.
Oh, Nora might have reminds me too much of Tommy, so I might as well. I'm pretty sure at the bar she was like, "Oh, it's Tommy."
That's funny because that's literally what Phil says all the time. Is that
I know
it's because of Tommy, so that's great.
Yeah, it is. He is our first ever rock draw first boot.
Yeah, and just in that, he is more iconic than a lot of these people in the bottom tier, in my opinion.
I mean, it's sad to see, it turn out for him, as any fan for being an early boot, but for being a fan and being an early boot twice so early in the game, it's sad.
Yeah. When I was picking my list for fans versus favorites, I felt like I had to bring him back because of what happened in Podcasters. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can't just let this guy just be a first boot to rock draw and not bring him back. And I wasn't bringing him back for All Stars. I can't do that.
No.
So fans versus favorite was the next potential option. And he just he gets to play a little longer, but still
a little, but alas,
not the best play. But I would still consider him this is pure statistics on how they played. If you were looking at iconic, he's definitely higher up on the list.
Yeah, I would say that.
And tied with him is Sierra Easton.
Now this one hurts my soul.
She was in our first Survivor. On your tribe. Courtney goes home first on your tribe, and then someone goes home on my tribe, and then Sierra goes home.
Oh, Sierra. I always talk her up, but when it comes to our Brantsteeles, the Brantsteeles does not give her any love, really.
Yeah. At least she's done better than Courtney. She has done better because Courtney went home first.
It's not hard to do better than Courtney.
Yeah. And that's only because Courtney was on this first season with her. That's really the only reason.
The only thing that would make someone do worse than Courtney is, if it's like a Survivor Fiji scenario where the person quits right before the show even starts filming.
Yeah.
That is the only way.
Imagine that happened. We have our Brantsteele to go.
In our Brantsteele.
And someone just up and quits before we start.
I didn't even think it was possible to quit in this.
I know, it's crazy. There's been a few things that I've been surprised. I wonder if they're updating it and making like changes to like how people can react.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Maybe they watch our videos and
they
it's
want
like, huh, let's screw with them.
yeah, they want to spice
Let's
it up.
make Ryan really squeal.
Okay, so Phil and Sierra tied for number 100. Number 99 is Aussie Luth.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's because in his original season, he was a medevac,
mhm.
which he's our only medevac throughout the entire Brantsteele's. Like,
Yeah, no one else has been medevac. It's literally just been him.
and then poetically, he ends up placing similarly, in Captain's Curse being the third elimination.
Mhm.
Yeah, like for as much love and praise as Ozzy has gotten in, Survivor, like he's been kind of like tucked aside in our Brantsteele's.
Yeah, he hasn't performed
No.
like at all.
Like
uh
in old
I
school,
wasn't even sure if he was honestly going to make the list. I was like, did he play a second time? I can't remember.
yeah. It it is shocking to see him, like, because I wouldn't think Ozzy would be number 99 on anyone's list, let alone our little Brantsteele.
Yeah, I mean that just shows, I mean we have Courtney Yates at 103 and Sierra at 100. This is definitely a different kind of list in that regard.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Okay, moving on now to 98. We got Stephanie Lagrosa.
This one also hurts my soul.
Yeah,
You know, I was so excited to bring her for Bronze Brains Beauty, and then she goes home super soon. And then with the craziness that was Captain's Curse, with all the mutinies and all that stuff, she was just on the wrong end of that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
um,
What you start to notice is now that this little area is just kind of they just kind of got screwed over and over again at the beginning of
yeah,
games. Like it just never flipped their way. So they kind of are more of the lackluster players on their brand steel. Like they just never really amounted to much.
no, no.
Um,
Uh, it's that because I also thought she played more, but sometimes if they do really, really bad in a brand steal,
mhm,
it's not that I retire them. It's just more so they need a break.
yeah,
And I gave her like that wasn't a long break, but for whatever reason, I just guess she always fell short on my list prior to Triple B.
yeah. Which it's surprising. I kept looking through a bunch of people and being like, okay, I need to like double check because I thought they played again. And I would like go through and they weren't there, and I was like, okay, well, I guess they, I
Oh
have
well,
yeah, I have something going on my mind that makes me think that they played a bunch.
I don't know. I guess because they're so iconic and
Yeah.
we assume, oh yeah, we brought
They,
them all
they
the time.
had to have come back multiple times. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like Foster Rob. He doesn't come until season 4.
but he's not. I don't even think he's in this video.
He's not.
He's
No.
like uh but sometimes like I said, these randomizers, they just, well, then again, Stephanie is just a bad luck contestant from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like her Survivor career has been riddled with it,
Yeah.
and I guess this Brantsteele verse also riddles her that.
Mhm. So that's number 98. Number 97 is Adina Menzel.
This one hurt my soul.
They're all hurting your soul, right?
I because we bring them for a reason, and I noticed that a lot of them in the early on ones are people that I've brought. If you look at this list, it's like I think the only one is like Phil Wood, and yeah, you brought Sierra for Heroes versus Villains,
Mhm.
but still another person I talk up, and so she yeah, as I've stated on the channel before, I love Frozen, and Elsa is my favorite Disney princess,
Mhm.
well, queen, well, goddess, anywho. And, so like I was excited to bring her. And then with Last Chance, I'm like, maybe she knew better this time around, but no. Adina
Goes out even earlier.
yeah, does twice as worse.
Yeah.
Which,
Not very stellar in the Survivor experience either. Because in Celebrities 2, the reason she even gets +6 is because that one tribe is so bad that she immediately gets like all the way up to +5. So she survives like one extra tribal council. Yeah, this is not the best games Adina Menzel has led on.
nope.
Okay, getting on now to number 96, we got Jonathan Henner. Now this one is the one that hurts me.
Yeah. Fenner's a great, Fenner, he is a great, contestant, like in regular Survivor. It just sometimes it's just the wrong side of things. And it is crappy that he is lower. And I could have, was he in Hunger Games or no?
I don't think so, no.
No. I mean, it's also tricky because like when it's +8 or something, it's around like merge time and stuff like that. So they did good, but like when so many people play,
I
it's
believe because Rivals had the Redemption Islands, and he made it to the last Redemption Island and just barely missed out on the merge by not winning it. So he was so close to making it a little further and going up the list a little bit, but unfortunately, this is where he has to end. And then in Captain's Church, the fact that he was the second boot, that sucks.
Yeah. Doomed for Brantsteele Survivor obscurity.
Yeah. Okay. 95, we got Wendell Hollins.
Speaking of doomed people, he was just, for being the only person on our Brantsteels to go home with 2 idols in their pockets.
Yeah.
That was, I've recently been rewatching Winners at War, and watching it again, I'm like, man, dang. I was like, his stock did go down a lot, and like even he, like the 2 idols in the pocket was still, it still like hurts, man, to like, I can only imagine what that's like.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it's weird because Ghost Island, honestly, people kind of ranked him as kind of a higher like winner in terms of that. They're like, ooh, he's a really good game. He's got physical, social, strategic mind.
Yeah.
But then when Winners at War happened, it almost like shifted how people felt about him just in general. Because he kind of gets this like villainous edits to him as well because of Michelle.
Yeah. And all right, so after my rewatch, there is one thing I can justify. You know how he always calls over Jeff and stuff like that? It's because in Ghost Island, he could have won an immunity challenge, but he didn't verbally say anything.
Yeah.
So that's why he was always like making sure Jeff was looking at him, and like, the merge, the pre-merge stuff. It was like, Jeff, Jeff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
which is
still a little silly that he didn't call out Jeff's name. He just like stood there, just like, come on, what's up?
Yeah. But yeah. Also, I think another bad luck thing, he was the only beauty to not make it to the merge in our BBB.
Yeah. The beauties definitely took away with the season. He kind of got left in the dust.
Yeah. Oh well, no.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Wendell Hollins coming at our number 95 spots. Okay, now we have a tie for number 93 between with Coach Wade. Yeah, another person just never quite lived up to the hype.
Nope. Coach is already kind of like a controversial player as is. Like I'm on this Facebook thing, and some people are like, "Oh, Coach, like Some people don't think he's a great player at all, and I'm like, no, I like he's good. Like, it's just he has done some. He is human, and he has done some stupid things. You know, he has a very unique way of playing where he tries to play with honesty and all that. But in a game like Survivor, you can't promise everyone everything because then you end up with nothing and a lot of people pissed.
Yeah, yeah,
He and when it came to our Brantsteeles, it was just like bad luck after bad luck. He had the he was cursed because I chose him both times. And on Captain's Curse, the mutinies and stuff. It like on my side that just ended so many games as a
yeah,
result. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
he was another fatality.
Yeah, it's rough because I really like Coach. I think he's one of the most interesting characters in Survivor, just in
Oh yeah,
general. I think he's just so fun to watch. Um, I think that he works best when he's with someone that's very strategic and does the game playing for him, and we get to just see Coach doing Coach things of being, this wild dragon slayer character.
yeah,
I think that's where he shines the best personally. But yeah, no, it was upsetting to see him go pre-merge multiple times.
very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Now let's see who he's tied with. Sophie Clark. Look at how that worked out.
Coincidentally, yeah. Um, Sophie was another one where kind of also where you know she definitely her stock went up in Winners at War. Um, but in this one, like granted, we didn't really use her until like our later seasons, but you know, she just it was always, miss luck in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah. She just it was another one of the cases she would get, just kind of a few votes away from the merge. If she maybe gets the merge, she could have been able to, mix things up, but she's one of the people that just can't quite make it.
Yeah, that's right. Both seasons, there was only 18 players that she was in.
Yeah, exactly. So she was really just like right there.
Yeah. Uh, pre-merge goddess, we'll
Yeah,
call her.
yeah,
That's
exactly. It was Biggie before, but she managed to crack it one time.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I guess she has to fight with Monica Culpepper.
True, but I guess like right before the merge,
Yeah,
just like pre-merge boot,
yeah,
Sophie is the queen of that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is another case. I was really wanting her to do more. It's also upsetting in actual Survivor, her getting go down to hide all her pockets. Not
Yeah,
playing it.
yeah.
I wonder,
It's like,
like if she plays that, the season probably is very different because
oh
Sophie's the catalyst for Tony's gameplay. Like because Sophie goes home there, Tony gets so much control.
yeah, a lot of the narrative shifts in his direction.
Mhm.
Because as I watch things, like I'm kind of like seeing everyone's gameplay after knowing everything that happens.
Mhm.
He is a lot quieter, but
Yeah,
before Sophie goes bye bye.
yeah, yeah. The episode right after that, it becomes the Tony show from the season on after that, which
Oh,
I love. I love Tony.
it gave us some of the greatest gameplay straight up in Survivor history. Like the fire tokens thing is still one of the best like Survivor moments in history, where it just totally shows the example of how important social game is and how great he is at the social game. Because
Yeah,
I a lesser player wouldn't even try, and even someone that's only maybe a notch lower wouldn't be able to pull it off, but Tony
yeah,
did.
yeah. And what makes it so much great is that he gets the tokens from all these people so that he can be in the immunity challenge and wins the immunity challenge. Like if he loses that immunity challenge, people will be pissed at him. People will be like,
Yeah,
"Wow, we just wasted our fire tokens on
yeah, he might have gone home,
you."
but
Yeah, exactly.
there.
So like there is so much like high risk, high reward in doing that. That it's crazy that it worked.
Hmm. Hmm.
But this isn't about Tony. This is about Sophie Clark.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, pre-merge boot goddess.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, here we are. We have our first quits of the game.
Yep.
Elaine Stott. Technically, her points are actually on par with the next couple of people, but I knocked her down below them because of the quits. I gave I gave her even that little extra kick down.
Which is a very understandable. It's like there was no. It was so sudden when it happened too.
Yeah.
Like I was amazed. Like I said earlier, didn't think that was something that Brantsteele even did.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
Yeah. And it's annoying because her tribe wins immunity and then she quits.
I think it was just purely so Ryan can have a break. He's
probably.
But yeah, it is sad to see Elaine.
It doesn't make sense because in Second Chance she makes it all the way. She gets third place that season.
I don't know why she did it, but like it's always hard to like justify a quit unless it's like a family member or something like that. But yeah.
Just it's annoying, especially because at Last Chance, we really are like, this is your last chance, to get on to Winners at War All Stars 4, play your hearts out.
And for someone not to do that, it's just like it's like when someone gets on the show and quits in general. That's the spot that someone that was like a big fan could have taken up, but no, you exactly. Yeah, quitters. We all know how all of us feel about quitters, and
yeah, exactly. So
sorry,
it knocks her down because otherwise she would be actually a lot further, I believe, on the list. Like she would be a little closer to like the 70s. Otherwise, but yeah, no. Instead, she's here 92. Okay, now tied for 90, we have Natalie Anderson.
Which is a crazy thing to think about because she is someone who you would think would be higher up. Because I know, and it's partially because we talked so much about her on, Winners at War. But like, she's one of the players where I thought I brought more of. And then, I was a little surprised when I was going over this.
She only plays those 2 times.
I mean, she makes the merge once, and then just like the nature of, Survivor, just being pre-merge once can lower you so much. And another unfortunate case.
I think it was just, she just didn't do well enough in that season that I feel like we kind of gave her a little bit of a break. And eventually, you kind of forget about people if you give them a big break. Like for instance, Rick Devens, I used him a lot in season 1, and then I didn't use him again until Last Chance.
Because we get worried that we overuse someone, and then we overcompensate by like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I choose this different person, this one, and then whoops, this person hasn't played in a while.
Yeah. I will say, in our first season of Survivor, everyone comes back except for one person. One person did not come back again.
Who was it?
Bob Crowley.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't choose Bob ever again.
I know. I was dumbstruck. He might have been in Hunger Games and lost in the first 20, but like he was not anywhere else. And it's weird because he does pretty good in that season. Like he makes it pretty far.
Especially being on my team, that's like, wow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, he has to be an all-star one, right? He has to be, and he wasn't. And I was like, oh, okay, is he somehow in like Let's Go to New School? No, he's not in that. I just went through the line, just like, how is he not in any of these?
Wow, past Ryan.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's weird. It's like we imagine that we should be using these players, and they're not.
No. I mean, heck, even someone on this list that won't be in this episode, but I'll touch on it. It's like, I guess it just goes to show how close we have them in our hearts. But, when we try and spread the love, we don't spread it evenly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, Natalie Anderson comes back for Amazon. Doesn't do very good in that season either.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Natalie, and she's tied with Lex, um, who makes it because he's also on Hunger Games. He's one
Yeah.
of the people who gets on through that way.
He,
But I remember him mostly for survive in the first Survivor with his relationship with Spencer and Tina.
yeah, that little sub alliance.
Yeah.
I know it's like I still look at this and I still see so many people that I have chosen, and I'm like, um, and yeah, Lex. I mean, mm, Hunger Games, I give him props for because that's a tough one. There was a lot of cray stuff that happened there. But yeah, it's just he was a pre-merge boots. Yeah, right before the pre-merge too as well, because 13 person merge. And yeah, I guess he just wasn't getting enough love, and so I stopped giving him any love.
Yeah, which is, I like Lex. I think he was great on his season of Survivor, or both seasons. But yeah, no, just this is still in the kind of area where they just didn't live up to the hype that we want for them to be at. Um,
Alas.
and they got multiple times, and both times kind of fell short because I honestly don't remember him at all in Hunger Games. I didn't even realize he was in it.
Yeah, I mean, with Hunger Games, there was so much going on that it's hard for there to be true standouts, except for like the people that finished within the top 10.
Yeah.
Or not even that. Like
David makes a pretty big.
David, well, I mean David because of like how close he played to how he might have in a Hunger Games setting,
Yeah.
which was so messed up. But it worked out so well for him in that sense. But regardless, yeah, Hunger Games was a tricky one to like pinpoint because it wasn't a traditional season, as well as the amount of players and so many like things you had to keep track of. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I like to see Lex come back for another one for Brantsteele. I think he deserves it.
yeah,
I'd like to see him make the merge.
it would be nice. It very
Yeah.
much would be nice,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Okay, now we have a tie for number 86, and the first one is Abby Maria Gomes.
And I don't think it's a thing that she did a bad job either. I mean, she did great in Rivals. It's just the other two that just like really, really screws her over and why she's low.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
it is surprising because I remember it because she's part of one of the biggest moves in our Brantsteele by
Rivals,
her, yeah, in Rivals where she idles herself out.
which is like iconic. I guess that's just her contribution to our Brantsteele verse. Like,
Yeah.
having one of the most horrid eliminations, like um it makes her iconic, but it also is like a thing of like, in a way it makes her a bad player. Just
Mhm.
dang.
Yeah,
Dang.
it justifies why she's this low, I guess.
Yeah.
Considering that she also can't. The other two times she just does not play.
No.
Um, so yeah, it's upsetting because I think Abby Maria is one of my favorite female modern Survivor players. So it's upsetting, to see her to go uh down here.
Yeah. She is definitely entertaining. And
Mhm.
there's one thing I also noticed. When you rewatch things, you get so much insight. She's also one of the first players before it came like super popular to lie about advantages,
Mhm.
like in the sense of like, she was like, oh, there's multiple things. Like you see that a lot in Modern Survivor of things where of like, people might rip off if it's like something limited, like
Mhm.
an edge where the person got the day one advantage and it was good for the next for his first three tribals. He just never ended up going to tribal, right?
Mhm.
Um and like he kind of tore that off, and like you see that a lot of like some people you know, switching like or lying about advantages, and like she did do that before it became something like super positive, or not positive, super popular.
Mhm.
So that's another reason to give her props.
Yeah, yeah. But unfortunately, just never got translated to our Brantsteele.
Nope.
Okay. Also title number 86 is Anthony Starr.
He did. He's someone that is, you know, I brought him mostly because of the hype with The Boys season 2. You know, I was
Mhm.
watching that. I'm like, Anthony Starr, come on, because Homelander, I think would be. I feel like in the future we need to do fictional characters from stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I've been thinking that too.
I already know my first pick, but
Uh-huh.
I'll save that for later. But right now, like, you know, and just like how well he portrays Homelander in that, I was like, you know, I was gonna bring him in for that. And he did pretty well, all things considered, with Celebrities too, which was that was also another crazy season because of the whole, you know, Matt Scene thing that happened to the athletes,
Yeah.
uh, and then you know reality TV stars just dominating.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was a bizarre season, and you know,
They all make it to the merge. The worst placing member on that tribe gets like ninth place.
yeah. And then he just comes back for All Stars 3, and then you know, boom.
Yeah, it goes out early. That's yeah, he's I think one of the first ones that actually does pretty good on their season.
Oh yeah,
Because he comes back again and it does abysmal, and he kind of gets put down here.
yeah. That is very much the case with him,
Yeah.
because making it 6, and like you know, when you make it in the top third of like an 18-player season, that's pretty respectable.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
exactly. I
know,
mean, if he could have duplicated it, he would have been much higher on the list.
yeah. But alas,
Yeah.
one trick pony.
And now we got the man, the legend, David Wright himself.
You know, all things considered, he's actually a really solid player.
Yeah.
Granted, his run on Hunger Games was riddled with people sparing his life. It got him further in the game
Yeah,
as a result.
honestly, yeah, he wouldn't have been on the list if that didn't happen. He would have just been on Captain's Curse. That would have been the only thing that he would have got credit for. Um, so the fact that he makes it at least to the point where he does slightly better than Wu, uh, and then he does pretty good in Captain's Curse. He makes it fourth place in Captain's Curse.
Yeah, which
Uh,
is pretty solid since it was a nose goes situation at one point.
yeah, exactly. He makes it further than Boston Rob in that season.
Yeah, yeah,
So
he does.
he's pretty respectable in that regard.
Yeah, he has a lot of things
His downfall
going.
really is just he doesn't play again. He doesn't have a normal, regular other season to survive on his phones.
Yeah, I think that's it. But
Mhm.
you know, still, um, it's solid. It may not seem like he's a great player because of his Hunger Games run, but he low key pretty much is.
Yeah,
He made that season a little better. Just like seeing that, it's like, all right, what's David up to?
yeah,
How is this
yeah.
game scarring him for life?
Yeah, I would put him as the star of Hunger Games. So there was a fan favorite for Hunger Games. I think David wins it.
Oh, oh, hands down, hands down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely am planning on bringing him back for a future Brantsteele. He's great. Um,
Yeah.
Now we got Cole Sprouse.
Ooh, this one was a toughie because, and even in the alternate reality of All Stars 1, he still goes home first. So it was inevitable
Yeah,
that he just not cut out. He had a great run for not having an alliance in Celebrity Survivor.
mhm.
But like it was just kind of like Anthony Starr, where it was just like a one trick pony type of deal, except
Yeah, he just can never be on the right side. He was always on the wrong side of the boat somehow.
Well, I mean, when you team up, when you decide to finally be an alliance and it's with Suri, what do you
Yeah.
do you expect?
Yeah, it's not good in that regard. But yeah, no, Cole Sprouse though, he gets even with some iconic tags for being on Celebrity Survivor. I think a lot of people who are on that first Celebrity Survivor just immediately become, like bigger in the grand EOS or Brantsteele because it's
Oh
such a
yeah.
good season. And
Oh,
he's one of the standouts from that season. So
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, he makes it pretty far considering that everyone wanted him to go home.
Yeah. Definitely helped make that season pretty badass, and was definitely one of the casualties in All Stars 1 that, lowered the stock of All Stars 1.
Yeah, that's just a lot. I feel like a lot of the fun game players went home early in All Stars 1, which is
I
upsetting.
agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
yeah, yeah. I feel like at the end it kind of just became Bill Burr and Francesca, like they're the only ones that were playing the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Parvati kind of gets lucky, honestly, in making it to the end in that regard. I think that's probably her worst game. Is that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think she controls most of the games she's played except for that one.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So yeah. So yeah, that's Cole Sprouse at number 86. Now we got a tie for number 82, and we got Jenna Fisher.
I wanted so much for Jenna Fisher. Um, she did way better in Last Chance. Well, not way better, but like she at least made it to the merge. Definitely, she gave us a fun little reaction out of me, and it was great rooting for her and everything. But fans versus favorites, like the fans just like cannibalized each other when we really shouldn't have, and she was the first victim out of the three traumatic.
Yeah, it went back to back to back.
Yes, sad,
So
very
yeah,
sad.
yeah. I mean, yeah, she's one of the people that I feel is on the cusp of being able to do great things in our survival world, but
Yeah,
always just gets cut by like
there's always something.
yeah,
Always something.
it's always something. And yeah, she's at least she's at 82. I wasn't even sure she was gonna do that great in Last Chance. To be honest, I wasn't too sure. I was like, oh, please don't be like one of the first three outs.
Yeah, but she did better. She did
Yeah,
better, and so like not a whole lot better, but like enough where she doesn't get burdened with being in the lower 90s or
yeah,
the high 90s.
yeah. So yeah, she's the first person tied at number 82. Next, we got Neil Patrick Harris, also tied at number 82.
I mean, he's another unfortunate case because like he's the fan that did super well in fans versus favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just the craziness of All Stars 2 being first out, lowers him. But like he is a very solid player. It's just being on my tribe in All Stars 2 really, really, really screwed him over.
Yeah, it's unfortunate circumstances for him. Because just another case of he did really good in that season. Like he's one of the standouts. If you like fans versus favorites, you probably liked Neil Patrick Harris then on that season because
Yeah.
that's just the case. Is like, but unfortunately, he never replicated his success, which a lot of the other people higher up on the list have been able to replicate success. So he kind of just gets stuck down here.
Doomed to Survivor obscurity.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's Neil Patrick Harris. Moving on now to Alexa Pappas and her
The
dog.
dog, which is part of the reason I brought her back for fans versus favorites. I was like, It's because of the dog she has to come back.
Mhm.
Yeah, that Ryan's logic.
Yeah. I think it's also funny because her survivor specialist partner Phil Wood does go is at number 100, and she gets to be like, yeah, well, I'm at number 82.
It, well, I mean, she does considerably better, all things considered. Oh, there
Well,
goes my
both seasons are better than Phil's best season.
yeah. It's just I don't remember too much about her gameplay, TBH.
Yeah, I know fans for favorite. I think she's the first jury member,
Yeah,
and that's about it.
it's just the dog. If you have a, it's kind of like Tinder, you know, if you have a dog in your profile pic, you're more likely to get chosen again. And I think that's, you know, why she's on the list in the first place. And I think her having a dog and bringing the dog on the island is what got her so far. But then again, they're like, you know, we have to feed the dog as well. So after the merge feast or right before the merge feast, just get rid of her and the dog.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Yeah, just kind of another one of the characters kind of just fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to see any of her in like the
No.
edits of Brantsteele. Like they didn't give us like any info on her. She just ended up going at some points.
Yeah, a little of a purple edit, but
Yeah,
not too much because of the dog.
the dog. Yeah, I keep showing off the dog. uh, and also title number 82 got Andrea.
Yeah, Andrea is I will admit, after watching my rewatch of everything, I became a little bit less of a fan of her. Not necessarily because like, oh, I thought she did anything wrong. It's just like, you know, I realized there were other better players, but you know,
That's how I've always thought when you would always talk about Andrea being one of the best players. I was like, are you what? Like she's middle of the pack in my
Ryan
view.
has sometimes Ryan with his survivor crushes
You let that
walk
blind
it
you.
right. Sometimes it does. But you know, she was on enough. Like she was kind of like sprinkled throughout our Brantsteeles 3 times. It's not too bad, even
Yeah.
though I mean she was number 7, so that's like a merge boot. No wait, right
No,
before the
she was pre-merged both times, I believe.
right before the merge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can say about her in our Brantsteeles.
Yeah.
A lot better
I think she's
interaction.
the first person that's been on now 3 times, right?
Um,
I believe
for
so.
not, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's the lowest 3-time performing player.
Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, she was on season 1, season 3, and season 4, so she got some use.
Yeah. Different time periods.
Yeah. So that's Andrea. Now we got time for number 80. We got Dean Kowalski.
I gotta say, he's someone where after my rewatch, I've given him a lot more props.
Yeah.
Honestly, I felt like he should have won Island of the Idols. And I don't.
Yes.
Here's the thing: when Ryan chooses something, when it comes to like, part of the reason is I do appreciate Tommy's game. However, I'll admit it's not the most entertaining. However, because I chose him without really getting a gauge of like all his personality, you know, I had to root for Tommy throughout it all. I still like Tommy. It's just Dean's
Yeah, I mean,
better.
you would have still won the predictions if Dean won. You still had Dean. My
But like,
fighting was for Nora.
My number one, though. My number one. But
but yeah, I mean, I think Dean honestly plays a pretty great game from the merge onwards. I actually think he plays very, very good.
Oh yeah.
He finds the idol over Tommy, which is just kind of showing that he's actually kind of outthinking Tommy in the final stretches of the game.
Not only that, lying that you don't have, or lying about losing your vote.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty solid, because then you have no because you have no say, quote unquote. You have all the power, because whatever information comes to you, like, there's nothing you can really do.
mm-hmm.
So they think, and then you can kind of like fudge the numbers any way you want.
No, I actually really respect Dean's game, and I think a lot of people would just kind of give him some crap because in the first few episodes, he's not there. It's like he's not even on the island in the first few episodes.
There was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of great people in the pre-merge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy the fact that he makes it to the end and we just don't see him. Like, we don't see him until he starts his showman to Chelsea.
Yeah. And hey, it's because of that showmance he was able to get on All's Fair, and also did a pretty solid run, being in Hunger Games too, and making it as far as he did. Also says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot I even picked him for Hunger Games, to be honest. I completely forgot I picked him. So when I saw him there, I was like, oh, he actually gets to be on the list.
Yeah, that's just our man Dean,
Mm-hmm.
Silent but deadly.
Yes. And tied with him is Mike Holloway.
The exact opposite of silent. Is Mr. Mike. Yeah, it is just, he did one great run and then one run. Yeah. That's why he's like down here.
Yeah, what is it? He wins like all the merge immunities up until he gets voted out. At like fifth place. He gets like fifth place on that season. And he won it was either 4 or 5 immunities back to back. And he literally tries to Mike Holloway for like super early, but he just kind of doesn't. Just fall short. He loses one immunity, and they're like, okay, I guess you got to get rid of him.
I mean, when it comes to like Modern Survivor, honestly, sometimes it could behoove you to get rid of a physical threat before a tribe swap, because you eliminate them from you kind of eliminate them from the pool, so you don't have to worry about them being on your team, because it's kind of like in the sense of like, oh, since things are going to be switched around, you can look at it as, I may not have this person, but I'm also making sure no other team has him either, which, especially if it goes into a 3 tribe scenario, benefits you, because that's a 1 in 3 chance that you might get him, opposed to like 2/3 chance you won't.
Yeah, and it's always crazy whenever that tribe swap happens and you get all the Mike Holloways, the Joe Ingrams, everything, all these crazy challenge beasts on one tribe. And then there's just the other tribe that has like the Christian Hubickies and the John Cochran's.
They call it, fuck, what do they call it in One World? They're like, not the Losers Club, that's it. I don't know, but like the have-nots, apparently. Well, I'll go with have-nots.
It's crazy when it happens. Like that would be my biggest fear, is to see the other tribe to stack like that and just be like, well, shit, I gotta play my ass off.
My biggest fear would be being on the Titans team, because I can hold my own physically, but I don't look it. So that's my
and if you have to then face people like Mike Holloway or Joe Ingram, who have proven themselves as these freaking Goliaths in terms of challenges, there's a lot to live up there. You have to be like, killing it at every chance he gets.
Yeah, but Mikey Mike.
Yeah. Okay, number 79, we got Tyler Fredrickson.
Kind of similar to Mike in the sense where, wasn't BBB and then All Stars and didn't do too hot the second time around. Did pretty decent in BBB. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
It's interesting. He's actually higher than Mike, but does worse in BBB. But because he slightly does better in the worst season for both of them, he gets one spot higher.
I know. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
It's not too much I can really.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would take Tyler's gameplay.
I like Tyler as a player in season 30. He gets a lot of screen time, but he's also for me one of the biggest sleeper threats in Modern Survivor, where he was pretty low key, but not too high key. Where he was super, super flashy. He had a great social game, in my opinion. But
I did find an interesting fact about him while doing this list. Did you know that he was a former NFL football player?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a place kicker. So, the person who holds the ball for the kicker to kick it.
Yeah.
That was him.
I mean, still, that's I never would have guessed that. And it's not because, he looks nerdy or anything like that, but because, he was known for being a talent agent, things like that.
And so I believe he only did preseasons. I don't think any team actually ever used him in actual games. He was just there for the preseason games.
Gotcha.
But still, it's just weird. I just saw a picture of this guy with giant shoulder pads on, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my fun fact about Tyler. Okay, moving on now. To Tim S. Grover, number 78.
Screwed in Celebrities too, but in Last Chance, he did play low key. He's someone where I was so hyped to bring, because if he ever played Survivor, I think he would do pretty well and could potentially be an icon. But I think he just got bad luck in Celebrities too, and then when he came back for Last Chance, there was just, he wasn't really making any moves. Now, granted, he had he was on a season where there was at least 4 or 5 people that kind of truly super stand out in that season.
Yeah.
Tim is just not one of those people.
Yeah, I think Tim didn't want to rock the boat in Last Chance. I think he just wanted to try to get as far as he can without, upsetting anyone. Because in Celebrities too, sure, he's the last one voted out from that terrible tribe, but that entire terrible tribe wanted him out the entire time.
Yeah.
It sucks. But I do think his Celebrities too is a more memorable run for him. I think his run of that terrible tribe is great to watch.
Yeah.
The Russell Swan, if you will.
Yeah.
It happened on Philippines. How crazy was that?
I know. And he's old, just like Russell Swan. Well, I don't know how old Russell was on Philippines, but
he was probably in his 40s, right?
40s.
I'd imagine.
Tim is in his 50s, but
yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's Tim S. Grover. I'm glad that he at least got to come back and he gets a good number there. He was pretty good.
It's a pretty decent number. 6 is a pretty decent number.
Yeah. And look at who's
speaking of which,
Russell Swan.
Of which.
Yeah, tied for number 73. We got Russell Swan.
Yeah, Captain's Curse He did just slightly better than Coach. But he was the last one of the true Ryan tribe that kind of like stayed on there, because that time with the mutinies and everything just led to a decimation. And at that point, you know, he was spared for one he was spared for one elimination and then immediately taken off. But with pre-merge, and he was saved a little bit because of him winning his way back. He didn't stay long, but it helped his placing.
Yeah, he actually, because he wins that challenge, he gets up quite a bit more. He probably is then closer to like the 78th range, I think, because he actually only gets voted out a few votes before when he came back. It was only like 2 or 3 votes. So, but yeah.
So it helped him a smidge.
Yeah, but it gives him a little bit. But yeah, no. I felt like we brought him back again too. I feel like there was a third time and there wasn't.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
If it would be anything, it might be Hunger Games, but I don't think I would have brought him for Hunger Games.
Yeah. Because I remember I almost brought him back for All Stars that season, but I decided not to. So yeah.
I guess it's just a case of we think about these characters and they are iconic, and so we're surprised when we don't bring as much as we thought.
Yeah, especially if someone has like a good season, you feel like they come back multiple times.
Oh yeah, I mean he does place well in both. Like even 8 on a 16-person season. That's like the top of the first half.
Yeah, he still makes the merge there and jury.
Merge and jury. So I get that's still pretty solid, all things considered.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the actual solid players. People who have actually had some decent runs.
Yeah.
Next up, Tyler number 73. We got Rachel.
And I feel like it's definitely because she did super well in 1, but like we look at All Stars 3, bam.
Yeah.
Oh wait, All Stars 4.
Oh yeah, All Stars 4. This is before.
But she did do, but her gameplay in All Spare did get her super, super far, always on the right side of the votes. But yeah, who knows? In a different universe, she might have done better in All Stars 4, but
I think she's the lowest ranking second placer, because Elaine makes it to the end but doesn't get second place. She's the first person to get second place at the lowest, which then does make sense because her All Stars 4 is not very good.
Yeah, she but All Spare is one of our best seasons.
And to be honest, though, I don't think she should have got second place because she was there with Biggie. It was Biggie Reed.
Not getting votes was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that it hurts. That one really hurts.
I mean, at least Figgy is higher on the list, so
that's true. Yeah, that's considerably, I believe. But that's because she's played so many times.
Yeah. But she did hella amazing in one of them, and that's all that matters.
The one that matters. Okay, so that's Rachel. Also tied at number 73, we got Yao Man.
Yao Man was another one where, because Hunger Games, he did hella well in that, which that does give him a lot of props. All Stars 2, I chose him and that doomed him. But it got him on this list,
He makes it pretty far considering he's on your tribe. Like when you really think about it.
Yeah. I mean, TBH, it was kind of even at first with All Stars 2.
Yeah.
But then it got into kind of like a snowball effect on my tribe where it was just like, All right, Ryan team loses. Ryan team loses.
Yeah, it
Ryan
goes.
team.
You lose someone, I lose someone. You lose someone, I lose someone. You lose someone, you lose someone. You lose someone, you lose someone. I lose someone, you lose someone.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
Yeah,
But I would definitely say that making it so far into Hunger Games really boosts him up quite considerably and
yeah,
makes him a decent player
yeah.
overall.
It puts him as having a good season under his belts.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I mean, honestly, All Stars 2 is probably one of the toughest seasons that we've had.
Yeah,
Just
22
there's
people.
22 people. And by the way, that
24 if you can 24 in a sense when we're talking about elimination wise, like
yeah,
you have to survive 22 eliminations in order to get to the finale.
exactly.
And there's so much tomfuckery. Well, he didn't get to experience any of the tomfuckery other than being on my tribe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and because of that, though, honestly, it means Mike Bloom's win is the most valuable win of all of them.
I would say it gives him credibility, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I think his win is like worth 27, whereas the next highest wins are 25. Okay, and also tied at 73 is Chris Jericho, the man himself.
He kind of had making it far in Celebrity Survivor.
Yeah, his alliance with Jennifer Aniston was pretty big in that season. But yeah, he goes back in Last Chance and barely makes the jury. He gets the first jury member slots up there, I believe, or it's the second jury. I think he makes the merge. Because I think Dominic Abate actually is the first jury member because we were using Idol of the Idols.
If it was Item of the Idols, yeah, because 14th place gets
Jack who goes out pre-merge makes that first jury seats.
Yeah. So
so technically second jury member of that season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think they were just afraid of his physical game in Last Chance because in Celebrity Survivor he wins multiple immunities. As a professional wrestler, he's got the strength to do it.
Yeah.
And we've seen a professional wrestler do very well on our Brantsteeles in the past.
Oh yeah, but we will not talk about the specific one for a long time.
Yeah.
But he's
but I mean, Chris Jericho is the predecessor to him in that regard. He was the first one to come in, and he showed what wrestlers could do, and then this other person built upon that and made it better.
Jericho paved the way.
Yeah, and that deserves some respect.
Definitely.
But yeah, I enjoyed him. Chris Jericho is one of my favorite wrestlers. He is just very cocky and arrogant and brash, and just he just annoys people. It's the greatest thing, especially to bring that out on Survivor. Just have someone
for great TV.
Exactly. So he was definitely not meant to be necessarily a winner, but great television.
Yeah.
And it's also tied at number 73. We got Tina Fey.
Oh yeah, Tina Fey. One of the, I think, more so than Bill Burr for Celebrity Survivor, your best contestant. Just like, she was very, very memorable, very strategic, social in that one. All Stars didn't do her that much justice, but for doing so good in Celebrity Survivor, it earned her a shot in and put her a little bit higher up on this list.
Yeah. Going into the finale of Celebrity Survivor, I think Bill Burr and Jeffrey Dean Morgan were the clear front runners for winning the whole thing. But then once Bill Burr went, Tina Fey wins an immunity, and if she wins another immunity and throws out Jeffrey Dean Morgan, that's a very different.
It's a very different end game, especially.
Yeah.
It would also depend on if it's her and Bill Burr. I mean, if it's Catherine Newton or Adam Driver. I mean, Adam came in second.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very different.
Yeah, it would be then basically between Adam Driver and Tina Fey. You'd imagine.
Pretty much.
Some of the votes for Jeffrey Dean Morgan might have flipped to Catherine Newton, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, another case also with All Stars 1. Another great player going home. Really.
Oh, All Stars 1.
Yeah. It sucks because I think All Stars 1 had the best cast. I think it had some of the best grouping of people.
I would, that is a very valid point. I'd say, yeah, especially since, we didn't really restrict ourselves too much. We were like, oh yeah, this. We had so many favorites there. And that's part of the reason why it was devastating, because we brought a lot of favorites into that one.
Yeah. A lot of people who did really well on our previous ones. We were expecting, to see some great. And I even brought back a couple pre-merge people, like, hoping that they could be fun. Chicken comes back, I guess. That's good.
Who came back?
Chicken.
Oh yeah, Chicken.
Good old Chicken Morris.
Damn.
But yeah, that's Tina Fey, tied at number 73. Tied for number 70, we got Joe Anglum.
Yeah, he's one where I'm a little surprised. Well, he was in Hunger Games. He just fell for it.
I think he's like 21 or something. Like, he just misses out on getting choice there.
I mean, even if he survived a couple days, it might have put him higher on the list, but it wouldn't have like skyrocketed him.
Yeah, exactly.
In a sense.
Yeah.
But the seasons he was on, except for All Stars 4, does pretty solid runs on each one, and BBB, like making it to the merge, doing solid, and then being the last person from my tribe on Captain's Curse, also that's a legitimate thing. Yeah, and on Captain's Curse, he was winning, he was winning those immunities.
Yeah, he was doing Joe Anglum things that we expect from Joe Anglum.
Precisely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's he's really just down here because of All Stars 4 not making a good splash. If he does pretty good in that, he goes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Joe Anglum, tied at number 70. Also tied at number 70, we got Yvette Nicole Brown.
Gave us one of the. It's a shame that we weren't able to, Last Chance could have been her shot, but like I've stated before, it's always hard bringing celebrities back because they have to do well consistently, or because of like the season we need them. Because we try and keep it mostly Survivor contestants, but when we have the specialty ones like Celebrity Survivor, that's their shot, and if they they kind of have to keep it up with the entertainment value and the great things. And she did fantastic in Fans versus Favorites.
She successfully plays an idol to keep herself in the game too.
Oh yeah.
So can't forget about her idol play. But yeah, I mean, it was just the fans just not doing good in that season. Like that's her downfall, is that the fans hate each other.
Fans were like, we have the advantage. I'm scared to win. Let's fail. And then she turns on me during that, She's like, oh, we're going to get out of an alliance with Ryan. And then that's when things just totally, she kind of played with her back against the wall, but she was, doing pretty well, all things considered, winning immunities, finding idols. Definitely memorable, like definitely a highlight from Fans versus Favorites. And I forget, was she the one that was causing so much commotion on your tribe during?
So there was 3 people on my tribe that would cause any commotion, and they're the 3 people who go home pre-merge.
Yeah, and I think that was the moment where she was like, okay, I played pretty well the first time.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna bring out my inner Helen.
Yeah.
From Drake and Josh.
Yeah. It's I believe that Nora and Francesca and her were causing a lot of fighting, and then the other two go home, and then she's like, oh shit, I'm next. And so she tries to play nice and it does not work.
It definitely does not.
Yeah. So but still, eight, 8 points there for All Stars 2, not terrible.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
But just with her run on Fans versus Favorite makes her an icon.
Yeah.
All right.
And also tied with her is
The
Chicken
man, the
Morris.
myth, the legend, the chicken.
Yes. I'm so glad he makes this list. I'm so glad.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a first boot, when you come back on the show, just in general, he does way better in Old School versus New School, and then goes on a pretty solid run for All Stars. Like, we were expecting great things for him in All Stars, and all things considered, he accomplished quite a bit,
Yeah, Old School versus New School, he's the last vote right before the merge. And then All Stars 1, he gets 6th place.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not I have something to say. I'm just like blanking on it. I guess it's more so with All Stars. There was a lot of craziness that happened. But I mean, it does. He was a little unfortunate in a sense where, because we had that 10-10 split or that 5-5 split when we got to the merge, and then the rock draw thing, and then things kind of fell apart for my team. But Chicken hung in there. It's just amazing what that rock draw could have done.
Yeah. A merge rock draw just changes the entire game. Like, it literally dictates who's winning and who's losing.
Yeah.
So that's Chicken Morris tied at number 70. Tied for number 65, we got Allie.
She is definitely one where that last chance boot hurt a lot. It's unfortunate because as I'm looking at this little list, she kind of just gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad. But I was so psyched to have her in our Brantsteeles, and she did pretty well the first time. Then it's just one of the things where one solid run, and it's not that she was a one-trick pony. It's just things fell apart for her in All Stars 3 and then Last Chance.
Yeah, she's the case of diminishing returns. She's great the first time she's out there, but every time she came back, she just got worse and worse over time.
Kind of like the Sierra Easton of our Brantsteeles.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I like Sierra, but like the numbers don't lie. She's with Sierra, she does twice as bad each time. She went from 5 to 10 to 20. Allie doesn't quite follow that algorithm, but similar circumstances. It's even when I rewatched Triple H, I still very much enjoyed watching her. I was like, oh man, I still believe she's someone that if they do a pre-merge season, or if they're looking for someone to bring back that's a little low-key or not someone that's talked about too much, I feel like Allie is that person.
Yeah, I also consider coming back for a second chance, being on the ballot for that as one of the pre-merge, because you got to have some pre-merge people on that ballot.
Of course, that's one of the biggest prerequisites, in my opinion, for a second chance. Especially if you're right before the merge.
Yeah, exactly. And especially since Kelly Wentworth blew up, I feel like now they're like, okay, you know what? Maybe there are some hidden gems out there.
Oh yeah. And sometimes Survivor just finds them. Michaela, granted, she was pretty funny on her season. I think Michaela is one of, I think, the funniest contestants in recent Survivor history. Maybe not like the funniest of all time, but like she could be in the top 10, lower on that list, but like definitely top 20.
Mhm.
So like sometimes survivors know what they do with the pre-mergers.
Yeah.
And Allie, let's hopefully it's not diminishing goods like in our Brantsteeles.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's Allie. Just kind of got a little great season here. Almost won pre-merge, and then kind of got worse over time.
Yeah.
And also tied, we got Elizabeth Hasselback.
Pretty solid run each time. She did pretty decent in second chance too. She made some moves. She wasn't always on the right side of the votes, but she fought a lot in that season.
Yeah. And she makes it pretty far in your disaster tribe. She's
when
I think like the fourth person left standing.
Person left.
Yeah. So so there's some respect to be had there as well.
Big props. Props.
Yeah. I do consider like your last 5 people standing on that tribe, I consider them like the iconic people. Yeah, they're the ones.
I mean, fuck, one of them is named King, so
yeah, exactly. So I mean, she's in that kind of grouping, so I consider her part of that. So yeah, I really enjoyed her on the All-Stars too, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, she was she definitely earned her place as one of the best contestants in our season 2 of our Brantsteeles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, only came back, only did it 2 times, and kind of middle of the pack to slightly good in that regard. So kind of follows here at number 65.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a fair placing, especially with like people, because like we're approaching near where we're getting to like the 50s, because like right at 50 I'm excited who's there, but like this is where things really start to get tricky. Like you start to see winners coming up shortly.
Yeah.
Well, not shortly.
Yeah, not till 51, I believe.
Yeah, but like we're getting to the point where we've seen people who have gone actually pretty far. There's one person where we'll get to them, but like this is when we start seeing some people that have impacts on our channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But,
yeah, we're starting to get to the good stuff here. Good stuff. And also tied at number 65, we got Judd Sargent. Oh man, I was so glad to have him on Brantsteele twice. It was great.
Yeah, he did good with his the Sarge alliance. He does. He is, because rewatching Guatemala, he is an entertaining guy. And he does pretty decent on second chance. Just like that's a crazy season. Like if we're talking like modern Survivor, that's where you truly start to see the craziness was the second chance season, where it really shaped what is truly like new school. And then doing so well in that part, and then in All Stars too. Granted, the whole craziness with My Tribe definitely boosts them up a little bit. However, with that season being so cray, getting 13th or being the 13th person eliminated overall is still pretty respectable.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah, I mean, he does worse than his Sarge alliance partner both times that he's out there.
The lesser of the two Sarges, but he's still a solid Sarge.
Yeah, well, I think Judd is the one who's like steamrolling the Sarge alliance and is the loud one who's getting everyone's face. And Lee is just kind of like, I'll just sit back. I'll let you do all this.
Maybe because Lee's a vet, he's kind of more, I'm not going to say reserved, but more so like maybe because Lee's a vet and he's have, military experience, he's a bit more like he can kind of keep it under control more as a
Mhm.
result.
Yeah.
Well, Judge is a sharp sergeant purely by name.
Yeah. He took on the drill sergeant persona though, definitely. He's definitely trying to get loud and in your face.
Oh yeah. I like when I think of Judd, and I feel like it's unfortunate that it's this specific moment that I remember, but it's the one where he's yelling at the one woman for saying that he had ADD. And he's like, how many times you go up to a person and that's so rude saying, oh, you have ADD. That's the first thing. Like, that's the moment I remember most with Judd being loud, crazy, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say crazy. It's a legitimate thing to like,
Yeah.
be angry about, but like he's he is one of the things that makes Guatemala a little better.
Yeah. I think I feel if there was a second chance, I want to see Judge Sargent come back. Because I think he needs to be on a different season in Guatemala. Because I think that there are great people in Guatemala that could come back and be great on other seasons, but because Guatemala has this cloud of people
Of
not liking
Danny,
it.
I feel like sometimes the winner matters. Like, how I defend Gabon a lot?
uh-huh.
If I forget her name, but if the person who won second place in that season actually beat Bob,
Yeah, Susie.
Gabon would have been lower on my list.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's the worst final three in any Survivor season, just in general.
I'm gonna have to look up and like I don't think it's I definitely think it's, lower on the list, but I don't think it's the worst. But I have to like do my research.
I feel like all three of them did not play great games. I think
Bob won so many immunity.
he won two. He only or no, it was three. He won three, but it was against like the worst competitions ever.
I don't consider Marty or an Olympian, and Kenny.
Yeah, you can't count the Olympian actually because she was got found for doping, and so the fact that she was off doping, she was like super weak because of it.
We'll save this for another video, but regardless, enough of that. Judd, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. So yeah, Judd's a cool guy. And one of my favorite alliances in our Brantsteele.
One of the memorable ones, yeah.
Now we got Johnny Fairplay.
Does kind of like similar placing in both well then again, no, podcasters, it's a lot less people, but like the numbers kind of threw me off for a second. Like
he gets sixth place in podcasters, I believe, right? Or fifth?
Yeah. It's 11 is 6. But yeah, he's someone where he's someone I could have sworn we would have brought back one more time, but I think this is when, because season 1 we brought a lot of the same people back again. Season 2 we mixed it up a little. Season 3 we got into the obscurity. I felt like he's someone that could have came back in season 4. I guess like there was still also a lot of big Brantsteele people.
Yeah, the only thing that he could have come back is that last chance in All-Stars 4. That would have been his only in. Because he's not a captain and he's never found love in Survivor.
I feel unless he's on there twice.
With himself.
It's just like Johnny Fairplay loves Johnny Fairplay. Or Johnny Fairplays and booze.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have came back for Heroes versus Villains, I feel.
Yeah, he could have.
But there was a lot of no, he couldn't because of our criteria for that. It was only new school players were allowed for.
That's right. Yeah, we kept it to just new school.
Anyway, but he was fun. I'm glad he had decent runs both times. after my rewatch, I may not love him as much, but I still have fond memories, and he's always an entertaining guy to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, in his Survivor career, he's just really for Pearl Islands. Like, even though he's on Micronesia, like he's really not on Micronesia. Like, I don't consider that Johnny Fairplay.
no, that's one of the quits that kind of hurt me. Though, however, it's still a very impactful one because it's kind of like the thing of like if he didn't have that like thing where like he decided to not pull himself from the game, but essentially quit, Eliza or Parvati would have went out way earlier in that game, and then the domino effect of what that could have done.
Yeah. There's also, in a sense, Flush's Yao Man's immunity necklace that he had. Because Johnny Fairplay decides to not quit before Tribal, he decides to quit at Tribal, which flushes it. So
yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's done pretty good in our Brantsteele overall for the most part. Hasn't had a bad placing.
No.
And now we got the pre-merge goddess herself, Monica Culpepper.
Oh, Monica. She is one of my favorite women contestants, and she makes up one half of my favorite Survivor couple. But good God, these Brantsteeles have not been kind to her.
Have not. Her best placing is all it's fair, where she's in Redemption Island and just barely misses out.
Good God. Like, and the reason she's so high on this list is because I'm like always giving her another shot.
You gave her 4 shots at it.
I think she's the lowest person to play 4 times.
Oh, definitely, 100%. I think we have a little bit to go before we get to another 4 spots. Oh, you got muted.
Sorry, my internet contact me.
All good.
But she, All-Stars, or not All-Stars, Survivor 1 with all her meltdowns. It was a thing where I feel like after that first time, no one really truly gave her a shot. And then
she created this bad persona for herself as the person who's going to break down. And she doesn't she break down again in All-Stars 1? I'm pretty sure she breaks down again in that season.
I think so. And in Heroes versus Villains, that is a season where Ryan had a pretty considerable, that was like one of the only times where you experienced what I usually do, where a lot of your peeps got voted out pretty early. But she manages to be one of the people that get voted out pre-merge. Like,
yeah, I have like 3 or 4 people that make the merge that season. And she still goes home.
Yeah, it's she doesn't really have a great season, which is a little bit of a shame.
Her best season, I mean, it's either Survivor 1 or All's Fair.
All's Fair, but I guess like out of everything, it did lead up to one of the best Survivor moments ever, where it was the battle of the pre-merge queens.
Yeah.
And then, she becomes the ultimate pre-merge queen.
Yeah, because Biggie takes her rightful spot in the merge. She shouldn't have. She didn't need to do it. She just decided to.
She was flexing. Yeah. She was flexing
really hard. So yeah, that's Monica Culpepper tied at number 65. Tied for number 62, we got Julie Chen.
Julie did very solid in celebrities, but it also helped the fact that the reality TV stars dominating.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but she won quite a she won a few immunities, or
Um,
she
she might have
she,
won two.
she was she in fire with was she in fire? I feel like she was.
Who would it have been against? Uh, what
I think
was it?
with
Dog?
Nicole.
Oh no,
Nicole.
Nicole. Yeah, no, yeah. So they were in fire. It was Julie Chen and Nicole.
So yeah, she had a pretty solid run in celebrities too. All Stars 3. Uh, oh, you don't have it there.
Yeah.
She
Um,
does good enough to, you know, not go too far in obscurity, but
yeah, she gets +8 in it, so
yeah,
she makes it a little far.
she has a decent run her first time, and then an all right one the second time around.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good, all things considered. I think this is a fair placement for her
Yeah,
overall.
pretty solid.
So yeah, that's Julie Chen tied for number 62. Also tied for number 62, we got Jeremy Collins.
He is someone where he had one great run. All's Fair gave him, I mean, with All's Fair, there is a little asterisk with his placing because he was swapped out. His wife sacrificed herself for him.
Yeah.
Um, doing pretty well his first season, but I think it's the thing of like that first season was his season, and then like it was, I wouldn't say diminishing goods because he brought it back a little bit in All's Fair, but
He does make it to the last challenge on Redemption Island against the pre-merged queens.
yeah,
And he's the first one to go home, which makes that
because
really interesting. That then it becomes really the battle between those two.
yeah, um, but still he did a solid job in HBV.
Yeah, yeah, that's his best season by far. And it's on the season where he just completely dominated.
Yes, because heroism is always the right way to go.
No, it's all about being a villain.
Heroes,
Villains.
we did the data on it.
Yeah, but heroes are boring.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. It's all about being a villain. You gotta make some dastardly moves.
But playing as a hero, you have to. It requires better gameplay to still
I
be a
think
hero.
I think villains require better gameplay because you have to navigate so many more things. Hero, you can just be a nice
That
person.
when you set rules for yourself, or when you set your rules and like try and be a nice guy in the right way, and still trying to get further, you know, it's like, oh, I can't cross this line, and sometimes it's that restraint that helps. You know, it's like I could have just been like a Russell Hantz, but I chose to like play honorably, and I still made it to the end.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea if I go out there and be a villain. I feel like I probably end up being a sympathetic character in some regard because I'd just be terrible.
I feel like I'd be an anti-hero. I don't know. I don't know how it all depends on what the scenario is or
Yeah,
what the theme of the season
yeah,
is.
yeah. I mean, I always just see myself going home right away because they don't look at me as a physical asset.
I see myself either I can definitely see myself making it to the merge. Um, I mean, if they're smart, they'll get rid of me right before the merge. But I
Which
see
usually
myself
happens
going,
in our Brantsteeles.
yeah,
It's usually at the merge or right before.
because I feel like I'm like I said, I don't look it, but I am a physical threat. Like
Mhm.
I have pretty high endurance when it comes to certain things, and also like I'm fast.
Mhm.
Um, so that'll help out. And also, since I have a slimmer frame, I'm smaller. When it comes to things like balance, that'll also help me out. But
Mhm.
enough of me. We have time before we get to me. But
Yeah,
Jeremy here, I'm interested in this photo because he's kind of like stand there like a boss.
yeah, yeah. This is his winners at war. he's going into war there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's Jeremy Collin, tied for number 62. Also tied for number 62, we got Malcolm.
Malcolm. Just owning it on the beauty tribe. Yeah, that definitely helped. I forget. He won something in Survivor 1, right?
So in Survivor 1, he has an idol, plays it at the merge to idol out Spencer, and then gets idled out by Russell Hantz, the next tribal.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So back-to-back idol plays that he was a part of.
Yeah. I'm honestly a little surprised he hasn't been on at least one more time.
Yeah, I know. He yet again might have been in Hunger Games, but I can't remember.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But I mean, going home fourth in BBB. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Forget it with BBB. The most. It's funny because I rewatched everything. However, it's like when it came to like standouts, I guess we remember Amanda and Natalie a bit more from that season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Malcolm, I kind of forget a little bit on that season personally. I just know that he was on the majority, the majority alliance.
Yep. Beauty.
Yeah. And they dominated pretty handily, I'd say. So yeah, that's Malcolm. Pretty much just did pretty good up here because he was on the good alliance.
Yep. Sometimes it's all you need.
Yep. Okay. Number 58, we got a tie here with Taylor Lee Stalker.
My fellow brochacho. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten the famous moment of the Figgy moment.
Yeah, it's because he wins all of those Redemption Island challenges back just over and over and over and over again. That it gives Biggie that opportunity to swap out at the last moment.
Oh, figs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he I mean, when you're escaping, elimination like that for so much, because like he was the first person like voted out, like
voted out, not the first impression voted out.
Yeah. So to make it all the way from that and kind of like running a mat, and making it to the very end, and then getting swapped out by his love. Granted, he didn't spend too much time before he was right back on Redemption.
Yeah. I think he survives one tribal council and then goes the next one after that.
Yeah. And then still makes it pretty far, all things considered.
Yeah, he wins another Redemption Island or two.
Yeah. And the Brochacho Alliance and All Stars 4, that one was a little tricky because like he was on the outside of the numbers for a while, but he managed to scrape by regardless.
Yeah. His All Stars 4 is obviously his best Survivor game. But his physical game and all his fair is very, deserves some praise itself. So he kind of plays like if he could have combined how he plays both of those games into one perfect game,
he could have gone far.
Yeah, he could have won a season, but he kind of split them up.
Well, when he comes back in series 2, maybe he'll get that pentultimate thingy play style.
Exactly. So yeah, he's the first person tied for number 58. Next we got Billy Garcia.
This I think he does. I mean, he does pretty solid both times. He was definitely an entertaining one. I think because of the theater of the mind we play with in All-Star 3 definitely helped him out. But in pre-merge, he was still someone I was rooting for because in actual Survivor, I felt for this man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like inside all of us is a little Billy G.
Yeah, it's interesting because actually looking at these, I feel like he did better than what the numbers actually show. Because for me, Billy's one of was a keystone components from season 3 and 4, and I felt like he kind of he just does okay. He does decent. But I always felt like he did slightly better. I think it's just he gets so much. He got so much screen time from us talking about Billy.
Yeah, and I mean on an 18-person season, I mean like he did well except for All Stars 4, but even on All Stars 4, it's not like horrible. Like I feel like he's a good average player.
Yeah. He was really good at like making the merge and just
falling in love.
Yeah, he was good at falling in love and dying on the sword for that love.
And I think in the end he did.
Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Billy Garcia.
And then wait, not yet.
Now we got Stephen Fishbach. And he's gonna hate the fact that he's tied with Billy Garcia in anything.
I mean, he's just another one of people from like season 2 that kind of like, I mean, in podcasters, it is a thing, like the numbers are a little bit tricky because like in podcasters, it's 16 where we only have a handful of seasons where we've done 16 people.
Yeah.
And then in All Stars 2, granted, it's number 14, but that's also where we had 22 peeps. So in a way, it kind of balances out and kind of leaves him in this middle place.
Yeah. He was slightly better than Judd on All Stars 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another case of his tribe just doing really good in All Stars 2 and kind of getting a very higher placement there. But at the same time, I think his podcasting game was really good. I think that he potentially could have won that season if they let him get to the ends. Yeah, I think he's played great both times.
Oh yeah, I agree. Definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. And so he's going to be stuck being tied with Billy Garcia. And also tied with them, we got Tina Wesson.
Which it's both times she gets 13. She makes it pretty far, like 7th place.
Yeah, 7th place both times.
Oh wait, no, 8th.
I think it's 7th. I think
7th or 8th. All right, because 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. No, it's 8th place.
8th place, got it.
I mean, which in All Stars 1, definitely she was on my tribe. Granted, it was a bit an even thing, but still like pretty decent run.
Mm-hmm.
Survivor 1, though, that was that one was pretty bad on my end. And she had some decent alliances in Survivor 1 and making it a little farther, and not a little farther, but like I felt like she definitely had more of an uphill battle in Survivor 1, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it is still admirable getting to the merge on Heroes versus Villains thing, since half the people won't make it to the merge.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that speaks.
It's pretty good, honestly, making it back to back times like that.
It is interesting because I almost, this, but I almost chose her for Battle of the Amazons. So
really?
it would have been curious to see how much further she would have gone, or like how much higher she would be on this list.
Yeah, there's a good chance that she would have been in the next video.
Potentially, because that would have boosted her up. But That would have
Yeah,
knocked someone else out.
that's
Who's that person? Alternate realities, man.
yeah, I know, right?
That's just kind of like the name of the game right now.
Yeah, yeah. So Tina Wesson, uh, doing pretty good, honestly. This definitely we're at the pretty good stage of
Oh
all
yeah.
these. All these people are doing pretty good.
Uh-huh.
um,
Oh,
Moving
good.
on now to number 57, we got Angelina Keely.
I feel like it's a thing where we kind of have a Russell Hand scenario. She did so well in old school versus new school that
Mhm.
anytime they brought her back, it was a thing of like they knew her shit and just couldn't.
Yeah, yeah. I swear I felt like she made it to the end on one of these, and I found out no, she made it. She makes it to the end on the first one, and then she doesn't make it to the end again. Um,
Hmm.
but I for some reason I thought that she did, but no,
I guess maybe
boomered.
it's kind of bleeding in from real life where she made it to the end of David versus Goliath.
I
Maybe that's
guess
it.
maybe I don't know. I swear I felt like she was in the end of one of them.
Uh,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
she's very entertaining. I mean, doing well in her first run. Um, and I feel like when it came to HVV, it was a little stacked against you in that regard.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
know,
my tribe wasn't doing too hot. But yeah, and then Amazon came back again, didn't do very good. Just yeah, yeah, she's just not able to come back because people are afraid of her. People,
no, they
she,
wouldn't let her. They wouldn't let her play the way she. Um, they just wouldn't let her play.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. But at least she has one good game on the belts.
Exactly.
Um, and number 56, we got Fridion.
Very interesting spot. Like you go from being like the merge boot where you don't. Oh wait, no, actually,
He was the merge boot in podcasters.
I was no, not that. I was thinking
Oh,
like jury because I know with 10, because there was only 16 people and then 10, I was like, oh wait, did they make the
yeah, he made the
you made
jury. He made the
yeah,
jury. Yeah,
because final three in that one, which
yeah,
final three on a 6-person season is a little, I mean a 16-person series.
yeah. Three-person jury on a six-person season. That's crazy. Can I
Three
be on that Survivor season?
that's like something you would do in your backyard. You're just invited 6 people over and it's like, hey, let's, do Survivor, and then they get tired. It was
Yeah.
like, oh no, let's just make it 3, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Anywho, but he has a very memorable alliance and run on All Stars 2, just with the craziness of my tribe, and then being able to, because I think he was one of the BS boots, right? Was he the? He was either the horror one or the bicycle one
For what?
for All Stars 2.
Uh, I'm not sure.
I felt like he got a BS elimination. All right, so if there's 22 people, 22, 20,
Yeah, I can't remember what ones for the stupid
18,
eliminations.
17,
It
16.
might have been the
No, it was the horror one.
I was about to
Or,
say that one with yeah,
or
the
yeah, I think it
yeah,
was the horror one,
yeah, he did the worst step at that.
which, but still, like, he was causing a little trouble. Like, you were like his. Do you watch Naruto at all?
Yeah.
Um, he was kind of like Jugo, and
Uh,
you were his Sasuke in a little bit. You were able to kind of control him a little bit.
yeah, that's pretty accurate, honestly. um, and once I got voted out, though, he kind of just was let loose like that. And honestly, though, it was the smartest idea for my tribe to vote me out,
Yeah,
because that made then that entire grouping of people that were on that tribe, like they didn't have any, they had no alliance at that point. They were a free agent for everyone.
pretty much, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, because I was basically the only person on the tribe that was like, come on guys, let's stick together. Let's do it all, We can do this.
And Fridion was like, no.
Yeah. So,
And then
yeah,
he comes back for All-Star 3 and now,
pretty
yeah,
forgettable, honestly. I kind of pretty bit of a forgettable performance.
yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely earned his spot with All-Star 2.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's Fridion at number 56. And now tied for number 50, we got Dani Vogerite.
I'm glad she's not in the top 50 at least. I mean, she does great runs, but her biggest flaw was Survivor's dumbest move ever, giving up immunity and losing.
Yeah. I when I was doing this presentation in the slideshow, I haven't changed this actually. She actually gets 17 points here and also 4. But the thing is, when I was doing it, I was like, man, I wish I could give Dani like a couple extra points to push her up a little bit. And then I realized, wait a second, she got 4th place that season. She gets 17, not 15. So because of that, it actually pushed her up to number 50.
Mother. Well, good for her. She's tied with a lot of great people.
She is. There's a lot of great people here that are pretty big on Survivor Brantsteele.
I'm glad she's on the lowest part of that. She gets some sort of ineptitude. I don't think I hate how badly I talk bad about her. It's just
you should. She's great.
She's not though. She's the most forgettable winner.
I think Natalie White is.
No, because she took down Russell Hands.
I wouldn't say that.
Because she won over Russell Hands, which makes her an icon.
What about Vecepia? I think Vecepia is pretty underlooked.
She's the first POC to win.
Brian Heideck.
He's known for being a dick.
Yeah, that's literally it. Jenna Maraska. I mean, we can go through. There's a bunch of people, especially in the old school, that I think are kind of forgettable.
That she won, like gender roles and stuff. She won over the men and stuff like that. And she's also
yeah, but people aren't talking about that. People are just like, oh, Jenna Maraska won Amazon.
I still feel like
Dani Boatwright does something that no one has ever done in Survivor, and no one has done ever since. And that is purposely not tell production about gameplay that is going on in camp, so that way they don't tell the returning players about the strategy, so that way nothing can get changed at Tribal.
I feel like that's a thing where, look, between her game, when we talk about people that may have not earned their wins, there's like legitimate arguments for some. I feel like when it came with Dani, like, explain to me how, Amber gets a lot of shit, Natalie White gets a lot of shit, but Dani doesn't.
Well, you can still give her shit, but she deserves it. She deserves the win.
It's not as
yet again, she's up against someone else who takes all the heat from Tribal. Like, she literally puts herself in a place where no one wants to vote for her, Stephanie. Like she gets so much less votes because of that. Like, she knew that.
I feel like it's a thing of she's like a thing of like it.
Stephanie was never gonna win that season. Like, as much as like we like her and from our fan view we want her to win that season, she wasn't going to win that season because of her being a captain on a newbie season. They did not want one of these returning players to win. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So why not get to the end with someone like that? Like if everyone's telling her, if everyone tells Dani Boatwright, hey, I'm not going to vote for Stephanie, we're going to get to the end with Stephanie.
I just feel like she was just kind of there throughout the entire thing, and then she was like, "Oh, okay." Like she
I don't
was
know.
given.
She calls out Gary Hogablue too. She literally blows up Gary Hogablue's game so that he goes home
I
by
just
calling him out as a football player.
just I'm sure she's a nice person in real
Yeah,
life.
she has so many great moves and great decisions that led to her win.
I just
Sure, it's
no.
not a flashy game, but it's
I don't.
still very strategic.
She may. She chose the right person to go with the end with. That's it, in my opinion.
And she blew up Gary's game.
I don't think Gary was,
And wasn't she on like the right side of the votes on like every vote?
No,
Wasn't she?
no. She was on the bottom, and she was like, well, she kind of had a roller coaster throughout that. Like, it was never like she was fighting from each side. Like, she was kind of like, oh, in the pre-merge, kind of a little bit, like she was on the right side, and then when the merge happened, she was not on the right side, but they just didn't really see her as big as a threat as everyone else, and then she just kind of goaded her way.
That's totally how you see it, and it's very different. Whatever.
Like
we're talking about the Brantsteele Survivor, not like real Survivor here. We're talking about her individual Brantsteele games, which she is great still.
Yes, we'll say we should just dedicate a video to Danny Boatwright.
We should. She's
just discussing her gameplay. It's like we'll save it for there, but it's like the thing on Community, whether or not, Nicolas Cage is a good actor or not. Like, anywho. So in Amazon, she was pretty memorable. And in All Stars 4, she gave me a lot of material to work with, and led to one of the best eliminations and in our Brantsteeles,
Yeah.
And also,
I straight up had no idea that they could give up their immunity.
I know that was another pleasant surprise. She did add to the surprises in that season.
Yeah. I mean, we ranked All Stars 4 as the #1 season, and she's the reason. She's a huge reason for it.
I guess sometimes I just need to separate Danny Boatwright, the person, Danny Boatwright, the player, and Danny Boatwright, the Brantsteele.
The Brantsteele player.
I mean,
she's been great on Brantsteele.
She does good on Brantsteele, yes. And she led to a lot of great things in our Brantsteeles. She is a good player in our Brantsteeles.
Anyway.
I'll give her that.
Okay, I think that's enough of Danny Boatwright. We've talked.
Watch when I play Survivor. It's going to be a captain season. Oh, here comes Danny Boatwright. I'm like, no.
That would be the greatest thing ever. Oh, and then you have to play with Danny.
I would blow up my game, still eliminate her, and be like, no, she must go. I'd be like Loomis to her Mike Myers. No, she has to be taken care of.
Okay, all right, that's Danny. We've talked for a very long time on Danny. Okay, title first, Denise Stapley. Equally good players.
Very, Denise also doing pretty solid on Amazon, doing very solid in Heroes vs. Villains. Both were kind of tricky seasons. But yeah, Denise, don't remember any specific moves.
Yeah, I remember. I remember just her getting far on Amazon. That's really the thing.
Well, I mean, she's always known for being a very silent player. Like, kind of there, kind of like not seeming like a threat, but low key is because of her her social game is subtle, very subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she makes it to the end of Amazon. She gets second place, so
Yeah,
there is that.
very much. It's just when you're going against Sari, it's like you kind of, yeah. I mean, like Sari, being like a legend, like it was a little hard, like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
things considered.
uphill battle. Should not have made it to the end with Cherie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Denise Stapley, much shorter explanation than Danny Boatwright's.
Well,
Well, we don't have to open up that can of worms again.
no, we already opened that can. We had all those worms spilled out,
Yeah.
and we were scraping it with the spoon to get every little molecule out.
Yeah.
There's no more worms in the can.
So yeah, that's Denise Stapley, tied for number 50. Also tied for number 50, we got Natalie Bolton.
Very, very solid player. Did a fantastic run in fans versus favorites. Really racking up those votes and still making it pretty far, all things considered. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also in All Stars 2, making up pretty far in that season as well. Yeah, just overall pretty strong, solid player.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely think she's a highlight of season 2, and I definitely think like if I were to rate our people on Brantsteele, she possibly would have been higher on this list, but
Mm.
with the numbers she has, like and there's so many great players. She's definitely a highlight, and I think one of the best people to come out of season 2.
Yeah. I kind of regret not bringing her back for All Stars 3 because I feel like she could have been there, or even Heroes versus Villains maybe as a villain.
We couldn't have for Heroes versus
Oh, that's
Villains.
right. Yeah, because there was.
Though that is still an interesting little tidbit about her being one of the alternates.
Yeah.
Um,
If someone dropped out, she would have been on it and probably becomes much more of an iconic Survivor player.
I agree. I definitely agree. She's a person that definitely should not fall into the Survivor obscurity. Who knows? Maybe second chance, real life second chance.
That'd be nice. Yeah, she should come back. It'd be interesting to see her come back now after what, like 10 years or over 10 years.
A little over 10 years. Yeah.
It'd be cool. Okay. Also tied, we got Figgy. Figgy's
good old Figs.
Yeah.
Almost had a similar deal than Monica, but gave us the most iconic moment of All's Fair.
Most iconic moment possibly of all of our Brantsteeles.
Yes.
It's definitely in like the top 3 at least.
Definitely top 3. I agree. A Rob goddess in her own right. The one time she does great. But yeah, it's just she's had a lot of bad luck on our Brantsteeles.
Yeah.
But she does her run on All's Fair makes up for it a lot. And I mean, clearly it does, because looks where she's playing. Because if we take out All's Fair, and we compare her stats to Monica, she does worse than Monica.
She does, yeah.
But because her gameplay in All's Fair was so good, it just skyrockets her.
Yeah, it puts her up here with, like some of these 50s where people have made huge impacts on our Steels. So
and Biggie is definitely one of them.
Yeah. She definitely deserves at least the spots. It's upsetting that she's only had one great game, but what a game it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Biggie. Next up, we got our first winner, Christian Q. Bickey.
This was I don't know, like I'm a little surprised we didn't bring him one more time before Winners Have War.
Yeah. Well, we brought him for Hunger Games, and he was one of the first people gone.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a fun guy. Obviously winning is, you know, winning one of our seasons is very, very credible and makes you an icon, like
Mhm.
off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's really just the lowest because he's the only two-time player who's a winner who doesn't do very good on his second time outs.
I mean, he also had quite the bit of gap between, but then again, that was also season one in general.
Mhm.
It was a very, yeah. In season one, we had a lot of people that kind of stayed in season one, except for like I'd say not necessarily a handful, a little bit more than a handful, but I
Mhm.
mean, winning the game your first time is always a good thing because we look at some of our winners. Some of them had to play multiple times in order to get that win.
Mhm.
But, you know, Christian was like, boom, let's do it.
He
And he
does
did it.
it, and then he waits all the way to winners at war, pretty much. Um,
Yeah,
which unfortunately he doesn't do a great showing there. But he was with some of the best, so can't knock him too much.
exactly.
Okay, and then lastly, we got Tyson coming in as our last person tied for number 50.
He's someone where, you know, he was one I was scared because, like, when we did our first Brantsteele, I realized how much it hurts to get someone you care about voted off in one of these. Granted, it's not like a real life thing, and I have seen Tyson obviously go pre-merge before. Do you remember the day after podcast where I was hella bitter when he was voted off fifth?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But he came back at least. We at least
yeah,
got
I
to
mean,
see him a little more.
in all's fair, you did a fantastic job. Like,
Mhm.
it's just one, he was eliminated, and two, it was just there was like a few people that were just a smidget better at that point. Survivor one, you know, he still does pretty solid. You know, 10th place overall isn't too shabby, especially when you have the Ryan curse on you.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
it it's just that I see that All Stars 4, and it's
Where he's the first boots.
not.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Also, for first boot is Tyson, second boot is Rachel. Like they go back to back.
It's poetic and beautiful in a way,
Yeah,
not in a messed up way, but still a way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Tyson's been pretty great. Only coming really two times for only really
Yeah,
out there twice, but he's done pretty good. I think he deserves this number 50 spot with some of these other people like the Biggies and the
I
Danny
agree.
Boatrights.
Our Brantsteele, Danny Boatright, yes.
I don't know. I consider Tyson and Danny Boatright like right here on the same level.
On our Brantsteels.
Like overall.
I know you don't mean it. I know.
Okay, on to the end. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, 49 and up. This is where we get into like a lot of great players. Like looking at the list of everyone. Well, I mean, we don't have any Danny Boatright. No, sorry.
Danny Boatright's coming back into the list.
No.
I'm gonna find more points and put her back in.
Okay, we all know what looking for more points might do to your reputation.
Listen.
Just imagine Joe just calling out Brantsteele. It was like, look, we need to find we need to find at least one more point. Just give me one more point in one season.
She needs to make it to the top 49.
Find it, no matter what. But yeah, this was fun. This is a nice part of our like little celebration for series one. Yeah, it's always nice strolling down memory lane, going through these peeps.
Yeah. I mean, already we've gotten to some of the iconic players from our Brantsteele, and we still have 49 more people to go.
I know. Um, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking at the list, and I'm excited to talk about some of these peeps. And yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Day After podcast.
all right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Peace.